Pranams to all of you. In this video, we are going to talk a little bit about the history of the United States. There is a reason why I have chosen this topic today. We will come to that a little later. First, let us look at the North American continent. Roughly about 5 to 6 centuries ago, the North American continent was full of Native Americans, Native Indians. In fact, they got the name Indian because of Christopher Columbus. When he landed there and he found these people, not white skin but reddish and tan, he thought that he had reached India. And so he gave the name Indians to those people. But we all know it was wrong. They were Native Americans. And there were more than 500 to 600 tribes spread across the North American continent. Everywhere. And many of those tribes, in fact, I would say almost all the tribes there were very mature, awakened, very, very close to nature. They loved nature. And it was such a lovely time. And they were there for thousands of years. Nobody knows exactly when, these people came to the American continent. But then, so many tribes, for example, I'll name some of the tribes who were living in North America. Navajo tribe, Apache, Sioux, Cheyenne, the Crow people, Lakota, Osage, Arikara, Ponca, Omaha, Iowa, Yakama, Hopi, Cherokee, Suquamish, and it goes on. More than 500 tribes, all living peacefully. Of course, some rivalry would have been there, some small conflicts and fights possible. But on the whole, they were a beautiful people. They had so much of understanding about human beings, themselves, and nature. Now, why am I talking about all these? Because during the 15th and 16th century, the people living in England, many of them left England and sailed towards North America. They eventually found themselves there. And they started establishing colonies. The first settlers from England, they arrived somewhere in the late 15th, beginning of 16th century. They set up the first colony, which is even now called Virginia, in 1607. And then so many other people, started coming from England. And eventually, as we all know, about 13 colonies were set up. These colonies were set up along the central Atlantic coast of North America. About 13 colonies. Now, what were they? Connecticut, Delaware, Georgia, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, South Carolina, Pennsylvania, Rhode Island, and Virginia. These were the 13 colonies. and more people started revolting against England, against the British rule, the rule of the Queen, and started coming towards North America. And when these 13 colonies were set up, were been established gradually, there were few wars between England and these colony people. But eventually, all these 13 colonies joined together and rebelled against England. And they wanted independence. Of course, they got independence. That is what the United States of America celebrates every year. July 4th is the US Independence Day. And when was this independence got from the England rule? 1776. July 4th, 1776 was the day when the Declaration of Independence was formed. And of course, all of us know the first president of the, those days that particular 13 colonies were called United Colonies, and maybe some other names. But eventually, after the Declaration of Independence came about, they called these 13 colonies as United States of America. That's how it began. George Washington was the first president, as we all know. Now, why am I talking about old history? All of us know this, don't we? But I'm coming to the point. When these 13 colonies were established, a separate, country being formed, they were expanding because more and more people were coming. Some of the European people were coming, Spaniards were coming, many from England, the new land, the Turtle Island, it was called. So they were flooding into this newfound land, literally speaking. They found a new country. But then as more and more people started coming, they wanted to expand. And so they found all these Native American tribes all around. And they started, English mentality. The royal gene running through their blood. Fight, conquer, establish colonies. That's what they did. But then, the president, George Washington, good guy, he sent a letter, those days, wrote a letter to the chief, the leader of one of the tribe there, close to their colonies, Suquamish Tribe. And the leader, the chief of that tribe was Seattle, Chief Seattle. And so the president writes a letter to the chief Seattle of the Suquamish tribe, describing their colonies and so on, and wanting to buy their land. Can you please sell your land to us because we are expanding? A nice letter, decent letter. That letter was replied by Chief Seattle. Chief Seattle wrote a reply to George Washington, and that is the letter that I am going to read for you. Chief Seattle's letter. When you read this letter, when you understand the essence of the letter, you will come to know, you will understand what depth of understanding these people had. Yeah, they are not educated in our sense of the word, right? Technology, computers, digital, what have you. No, they are not educated, right? But they were the most humane people on earth. For example, Hopi tradition, Hopi tribe. What a wise community that was. They could see the past, they could see the future, even beyond our times. Hopi tradition, Hopi prophecy. Amazing people they were. And so, Chief Seattle writes this letter. It's called Chief Seattle's letter. That's what I'm going to read for you. Please listen. How much of understanding and love and compassion these people had. Right? They were not selfish like many of us in the modern world. They had concern for everything. Environment, nature, animals, trees. Lovely people. Now look at this letter. I'm going to read for you. Okay? Maybe now and then I'll explain. Chief Seattle, chief of the Suquamish Indians, wrote to the American government in the 1800s. As soon as, the colonies were established, 1776, they wanted more and more and more land. So this letter was drafted in 1800s. Now, this is how the letter begins. The president in Washington sends word that he wishes to buy our land. But look at this. But how can you buy or sell the sky or the land? The idea is strange to us. Right? And we call them illiterate. If we do not own the freshness of the air and the sparkle of the water, how can you buy them? This buying and selling never was in their mind. They didn't know. They understood, they knew the whole earth was for everybody. Human beings, animals, trees, insects, you name it. Every part of the earth is sacred to my people. They mean it. Every part of the earth is sacred to my people. Every shining pine needle, every sandy shore, every mist in the dark woods, every meadow, every humming insect, all are holy in the memory and experience of my people. Very true. That's how they lived. In fact, we whom we call ourselves, sophisticated, civilized, we should be ashamed how much they had evolved. We know the sap which courses through the trees as we know the blood that courses through our veins. We are part of the earth and it is part of us. How many of us have this understanding? The perfumed flowers are our sisters. Look at the relationship. Look at the way they looked at everything. The bear, the deer, the great eagle, these are our brothers. The rocky crests, the dew in the meadow, the body heat of the pony, and man all belong to the same family. They must have been yogis, rishis, sages. Obvious. Look at how much they observe. Details, small things also. The shining water that moves in the streams and rivers is not just water but the blood of our ancestors. If we sell you our land, that idea was put in there by these British settlers. You must remember that it is sacred. No, sir, we don't remember. Each glossy reflection in the clear waters of the lakes tells of events and memories in the life of my people. The water's murmur is the voice of my father's father. Look at that. The rivers are our brothers. They quench our thirst. They carry our canoes and feed our children. So you must give the rivers the kindness that you would give any brother. Is that what they did? We know, right? If we sell you our land, remember that the air is precious to us, that the air shares its spirit with all the life that it supports. Look at the understanding. The wind that gave our grandfather his first breath also received his last sigh. Lovely people. The wind also gives our children the spirit of life. So if we sell our land, you must keep it apart and sacred, as a place where man can go to taste the wind that is sweetened by the meadow flowers. See how much they've observed. And did the settlers understood any of these things? I don't know. Maybe many people understood, but they were a small voice amidst the chaos and noise of the majority. Will you teach your children what we have taught our children? There are no schools, formal schools like what we have. Yet every one of those people were educated in the real sense. Not bookish knowledge, not your useless degrees. That the earth is our mother. Have you taught that to your children? What befalls the earth befalls all the sons and daughters of the earth. Wow. This we know. The earth does not belong to man, but man belongs to the earth. But what do we modern humans think? We are the owners of everything. Conquer, achieve. Isn't that what we're doing? And this is what our poor children are learning. Look at their culture and look at the difference. All things are connected like the blood that unites us all. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. Look at that. This is the language of the rishis. Man did not weave the web of life. He is merely a strand in it. Whatever he does to the web, he does to himself. You destroy nature, that's going to hit us back. As you see now, what's happening in the world everywhere. The more you destroy nature, the more it hits back. Of course, nature has its own language. These people, our rishis and sages and yogis and our ancient India, the Vedic India, and tribes like these, they had this understanding, deep understanding, and that is what they were teaching their children. They were flourishing thousands and thousands of years. They were occupying the whole continent, and no one claimed this is my land, my country, a flag. No, maybe they had little things. One thing we know, our God is also your God. Wow. The earth is precious to him, and to harm the earth is to heap contempt on its creator. I mean, can you believe? If our children learn this and understand this deeply, how beautiful this planet would be. Your destiny is a mystery to us. What will happen when the buffaloes are all slaughtered? That's what happened. They literally, after this letter came out, and they wanted greedy, more land. Many of the tribes didn't want to. Where will they go? And so these people started fighting with them, wars, capturing all those Native Americans, killing them, massacre, destroying their habitats. Oh my God. Read that history, you will understand. The wild horses tamed. What will happen when the secret corners of the forest are heavy with the scent of many men and the view of the ripe hills is blotted with talking wires? Look at that. Where will the thicket be? Gone. Where will the eagle be? Gone. And what is to say goodbye to the swift pony and hunt? Look at that. The end of living and the beginning of survival. Survival, living, thriving. Most of us human beings, modern human beings all over the world, of course there will be exceptions. We are surviving. We are not living, surviving. When the last red man has vanished with this wilderness and his memory is only the shadow of a cloud moving across the prairie, will these shores and forests still be here? No. They understood all this. Will there be any of the spirit of my people left? What happened to all those hundreds and hundreds of tribes, Native Americans? What happened when these settlers started grabbing land and what have you? You can read the history. All those people, when the United States was being established, all these people were given reservations. Whoever were surviving, whoever were left, reservations. Native American reservations. And now there are hundreds of reservations all over the United States of America. What a culture these people had. And look at their condition now, thanks to all these British colonists who settled there. We love this earth as a newborn loves its mother's heartbeat. So if we sell you our land, love it as we have loved it. No, sir. Care for it as we have cared for it. Business. That's what we know, sir. Hold it in your mind, the memory of the land, as it is when you receive it. Preserve the land for all children. Look at that. Preserve all the land for the children of the world. This is not yours. And love it as God loves us. As we are part of the land, you too are part of the land. Look at the compassion. This earth is precious to us. It is also precious to you. One thing we know, there is only one God. The rishis, there is only one God. No man, he be red man or white man, can be apart. We are all brothers after all. What a letter. Chief Seattle of the Suquamish Tribe of Native American Indians. Sincerely, I want all such things to be included in the school education curriculum. Right from school days, let children learn about all these things, know about all these things. There were people living on this planet like this. Or it's not in the school curriculum, doesn't matter. You parents, all the elders who are listening to this video, learn this. And teach your children. There were people like that, wise men and women. Right? A long time ago I have been thinking I wanted to share this poem somehow and make a video out of it, and I think now it has come about. So, Pranams to all these great ones. And what did we modern people do to all of them? Dig into the past. History is not boring. Yeah, when you give the dates and that one, who won, which war, boring. But history like this, everyone, in fact, this is my feeling, all of us should become interested in our past history. Here in our country, our own history of the past. True history, not the ones written by those British funded people. No. True history, the real history of India, what really happened. About that, another video I'll make sometime later. So, lovely letter. Beautiful. Think about all these things. Right? Thank you. Pranams.